That's last week. Oh, 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 oh.
What?
Oh, I just have last week's up somehow. Or 2 weeks ago, last week. Let's see. What are we at? 40,
Three,
40.
I
Oh,
believe.
there's my dog. I think we
Hello,
made it a whole
everybody.
year.
It has been about a whole year since we've been on here. All right, so today is the live sit and sew that you guys can join with us if you like. I can already see that Carrie Quilts is in the Zoom waiting room. If the way this works, we haven't done it in a while, is we're going to ask everyone who wants to join a quilty question. And if your screen name, if your username on YouTube does not match your Zoom name, you need to let us know who you are as your Zoom name. That way we
Hmm.
can match the question to the answer. And we do this not to be a PIA, but because there's some weirdos on the internet and
We've experienced them before.
we don't need to see quilts being used inappropriately live on the internet. That no
Mm-mm.
one wants to see that. So, we'll ask you a question that you'll know if you're a quilter. And the question is only for the person to answer who is trying to get into the Zoom.
You'll each get your
So
own question.
yeah, so if you're like, I know what size a charm pack is, it's 5 inches. Like, that's great. Don't answer it if we're not asking you specifically. Um,
Raise your
although
hands, children.
a trivia night could be fun. That could be fun. We
That
could
could be
plan that
fun.
at some point. All right. Okay,
We're
so
also in the middle of a storm watch, both
we
of
are.
us.
Um,
I think
I
you're good.
the storm has passed me, but it's on its way to
It's coming to
Chantal.
me.
We live about 90 minutes apart, so it's barreling towards Chantal. So if either of us lose power, we're gonna call it for the night.
Well,
Um,
at least if you lose power, we have to be done. But if I lose power,
yeah.
then you can, keep going
You're
or
my
whatever. But
you're like my wingman. I can't do this
I
without you.
know, but when everybody's on there, you'll have tons of wingmen.
I know.
Third, fourth, fifth, sixth
It's
wheels. It'll
it's
be
way
great.
more it's way more fun with you though.
I know.
We talk all the time. We've had
We
two
do.
hour long conversations 2 days in a row about
Yes.
nothing to do with quilting. But anyway,
No, it wasn't anything to do with quilting. We did well.
we
And it
did.
wasn't just about our children either.
No, it was about some sexy books actually, but that's okay.
Mm.
We'll leave
We'll
that
get
for
to
the
that
end.
another time.
Yes. We are in Illinois, Debbie. So like about middle of, well, not quite middle, almost middle of Illinois.
I'm in the
Um,
middle,
yeah, I'm on the Iowa border. So
Bordy.
it went over the Mississippi River, and we're good for now. And then we'll move on from there. But
Yeah, I have all of this coming for me.
it's so exciting. The worst of it went straight north above me, so I currently have power and
Yeah,
internet.
she's up in here, this
Yeah.
nice little blank spot, and I'm down in this like all of this stuff is like
All
so we'll
right.
see.
So
Whatever.
Carrie Quilts, been patiently waiting in the Zoom waiting room. Please answer in the YouTube comments this question. What size seam do you sew with for quilting patterns? What's the width of the seam?
Nobody else answer.
No one else
It's
can answer, only Carrie
only
Quilts.
Carrie quilts.
Yes. And that will prove that you are in fact a quilter and not a weirdo on the internet
And then you get your ticket
pretending to be
in.
Carrie Quilts, and then we will allow you in. So,
Lori says she has a blizzard on the way.
oh
Ah.
my gosh. It was 83 degrees where I was at. That is not normal March weather. Not at all.
No, that's like Arizona. She says a quarter inch, of course.
Okay. All right. I'm going to admit you. And just so everybody knows, I have my finger on the reject button just in case. Because
We've been burned.
we've had this happen before. And yeah.
Oh man. We learned
All
some
right. We have
things
a
a
real
year ago.
person.
Yay!
Yay, real person. Carrie, you can unmute yourself if you like and join in the chat, or you can leave it on mute, and that's cool too. Um,
So this is how that'll work.
yes.
I have a very small house and I have my husband and my dog in the next room. So
It's all good.
unless
If
I'm
you need to
talking, I'll
mute,
be on me.
that's
Yeah,
fine.
that's
If you
fine.
need to mute yourself, that's
Yeah.
cool. We almost ended up with all my children down here fighting over a mousetrap game during Zoom. So it could have been very loud on my end
We could
tonight.
end up with
I
them all down here too.
well, yeah. Well,
So
I raised five of my own, that's all good too.
There we
And
go.
my quilting room is still under construction because I can't figure out what kind of shelves I want to build. And since I'm in northern Maine and it's the middle of winter, I really can't do them until spring anyway. So here we go.
Hey,
there you
that's
go.
okay. I
It's all
mean,
good.
my room looks good from this part up, but this part down is not good.
My husband was very much complaining about how messy the entire basement was when he was down here. He's like, I
Oh,
don't
well,
even want to
he
be
should
down
have
here.
been cleaning that.
I know, right? No, he was keeping the children from killing each other, so that's also very
That is
important.
also a challenge.
Hey, I have a show and tell for you, Chantal.
A
Did you
show and
know
tell for Chantal.
that high noons come in
Ooh,
tall boys? Tall boys.
a tall, oh, mine's
A
just a
tall
little
boy high
one.
noon.
Oh my God, it's so huge.
It's giant. This is like three of them. And that says on there 100 calories per serving, but I guarantee that this is
Per
probably
serving,
way more than
that's
that.
for a family of six.
This is per container is 2 servings.
There we go.
So yeah,
That's
got him,
awesome.
got him at Hy-Vee, but
The
I went to
Hy-Vee.
go work. My daughter's been sick all week long, which has not been very
Oh,
fun. She has walking pneumonia. We finally figured out today, and
Yeah.
but um, so I haven't gotten to work out the way I normally would like to work out. I'd like to do it in the mornings, but I've been home with kids, so that didn't happen. And so I've
I
been
don't
going
like
in
to
the
work out.
evenings, which has not been fun because it's like the 20 something crowd, and
Oh,
I am the overweight mom crowd. And
yeah.
so it doesn't really I prefer to work out with the senior citizens at 7 a.m. That's what I like. And there's
Yes.
no competition for the weight machines. Nobody making me feel like, oh my God, I really let it go. Like
It's a good time.
it's there's like senior citizens in jeans lifting weights. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Oh, nice.
This is
I
awesome.
love that.
I know,
That
right?
would be my
Well,
crowd too. I just don't want to go to a gym and feel judged.
yeah,
And
that,
mostly it's me
that's
judging myself. But,
yeah.
you know,
that,
who else
yeah,
is going to join
that
us today? I want to see
Oh, Carrie's trying to say something.
oh, go ahead.
but no. I was just gonna say that's why I go to the pool at 4 o'clock in the morning because I'm there with the 90 somethings and they're lovely ladies.
Yeah, I want to go hang out with them.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that would be fun. Jan says walking pneumonia is serious stuff, and I mean, she's been sick. She's had a fever for since last
Yeah.
Friday. And so I took her back in today and we ended up at the hospital because she actually passed out this morning and then almost passed out several more times after that. But she's okay now. She's got her antibiotics and a steroid and we should be good
Yeah,
soon.
all the hookup.
We have all the things now. So
That's
she was
good.
down here arguing with her sister like she was just fine about 10 minutes ago. So
Walking
Yeah,
pneumonia, my butt. Yeah, sure.
no, if she's already arguing with her sister, then she's on the mend.
But she's well on her way, yeah.
I mean, she never stopped arguing with her sister the entire time she's been sick, if we're going to be honest. But
But she was probably winning the conversation.
oh, goodness. I am working on my cruise sample project.
Which I'm really
And
excited to see. I
yeah,
want a copy.
I'm using all stash on this, which makes me feel very good. It's all um Allison Glass fat quarters that I pulled from it. I didn't use the full fat quarter because I just wanted a lot of color variation in it because it's just a table runner. We're doing 3 blocks so we can get it done hopefully the entire time we're on there. And I'm having fun with it. It's 60-degree diamonds and triangles. And so I actually have a camera up here filming as I do it so I can do a little YouTube video to
That's
go with it.
cute.
But this is like one of
Uh,
the wedges. This is like wedge number one, like just to get you eased into how the diamonds go together, get
So you
everybody's
go
feet wet.
you go
Yeah,
through everything to be able to do that though. Like
yep.
that looks intimidating even to
It's
me.
not.
Like
It's not at all. And so it's just a step. Like
it's a party
first
trick.
we're gonna sew this part to this part, and then we're gonna add this one, and that makes a triangle. And you do the same thing over here. And then we add this entire unit to the center, press it open, add this entire unit to the center, press it open, done. And everything is like that. You just are starting with smaller pieces on the next block is all. And
So it
so
advances as you
it
go.
does.
You're like
So
level 1, level 2, level 3.
the last block we do, it's got a lot of pieces in it, but we should be pros by the time we get to that point. And if anybody is interested, we are running out of space on the cruise. They would like everybody booked by the 25th, if possible, which is in 11 days. I will put the link to it here. It is July 13th through the 20th, and we are going to Alaska. And so it'll be really fun. And then we get to make this project. And the thing about um, me and my stage of life is I have to do a lot for my kids. And so me traveling to teach is just not feasible right now. So if you want to meet me in person, you want to take a class with me, this is really the absolute only opportunity you have to do it because I just can't travel anywhere to teach. So this is about it. But this cruise, it's going out of Vancouver. Um, and leaves out of Vancouver and returns to Vancouver. And it goes Vancouver up the Alaskan coastline, Canadian and Alaskan coastline. And it's just a week. So it's Sunday to Sunday, really easy if you like have a day job to just
And
take
it's
the week
really
off.
not that bad of a
Price
price,
wise.
actually.
Yeah.
Like if you are just interested at all, just get a hold of Ray and John. They're not gonna
Yeah.
attack you with a whole bunch of spam or anything like that. Just get the information and might as well have it.
We go on celebrity cruises and Chantal went with me for the transatlantic and it
It
was
was
a
great.
blast. It was so fun. And
It was so
we
nice.
the food was amazing. Everything was really great
Everything
on the
was
ship.
amazing.
It was just so lovely to go. And my husband and my kids are coming with. And so this is why I've been at the gym because I'm going to be teaching for 18 hours with you guys, plus having dinner with everybody in the evenings. And we've got two specialty quilting themed excursions to do. And then after all that,
So
I want to make sure
jealous.
that I have enough energy to be with my family and not crap out. So I've been at the gym like 5 days a week and I've lost
Nice.
20 pounds now. So I'm very excited about that. I'm down a pant size.
Nice.
I feel like I have a long way to go, but
Oh
this
well.
may be TMI, but my mother-in-law was on the semi-glutide, and so she lost a lot of weight in the past year. She gave me a bunch of her clothes that she is now too small for. And so I was putting on a pair of jeans that she gave me today, and it was like the first time I'd worn them. And my husband's like, "Let me look at that ass," and I'm just like, "These were your mother's jeans," and he's like, "Don't remind me of that."
Oh my gosh.
It was
That's
so
great.
funny.
That's amazing.
It was
Those look
funny.
so good. They're your mom's.
They're your mom's jeans. I'm wearing your mom's jeans.
That's awesome.
Oh goodness. So that's a
That's
sneak peek
awesome.
into the humor of my married life,
Oh my
where
gosh, they
Stephanie
are
just doesn't ever
hilarious.
take herself too seriously.
You can't. You would go nuts.
No, definitely not. It feels giant, this can. Like, I don't think I've
Yeah,
had one of these
It is giant.
it is
since,
giant.
like, probably since college. Have I had a tall
Something that
boy?
I feel like you need it in a paper sack.
Or
It's
like duct tape to my hand,
I know.
and you're not allowed to take the
I don't
duct
even
tape
make a
off until it's
koozie for
gone.
something that big. Like,
Oh, goodness.
that's ridiculous.
A paper bag and a park bench.
I
I
know,
know,
right?
paper bag on a park bench.
So,
There's
Chantel,
a, yeah.
Chantal hooked me on these. So when I was
I
getting
told
beer for
you.
my husband after I worked out, I saw it. I was like, oh, this is my show and tell today to let Chantal know they come in call voice.
That's so funny. I got my little one, little guy. You got your monster guy, which honestly, at the right perspective, looks the same until you pick it up and it's like
Yes,
three
trying
times
to
as big.
get your hand around it. But yeah,
Apparently, tornado warnings are active near us. Let's see. I haven't
nope.
checked it in a while. Let's see
Check
what
your radar. Make sure you're good.
if my kids are asleep. I'm going to take off my headphones here soon so I can hear if anything's coming. We're still under a watch, not a warning yet. Soon.
What I've heard, the Quad Cities where we're at has never actually had a tornado touchdown in it, and I think it's because the river runs east to west here
It has this
instead of north
weird,
to
yeah.
south. Yeah, it's very weird. It's hard to tell direction.
We had one of the biggest tornadoes in Illinois history in the town that I live in like 2012 or 2013. It was an F4. It took out half the town.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, we're just a little bit to the side of where that was. So our house, that was, it was here at that time. We weren't here, but it lasted through it. But
We did get in 2020 a derecho, which is a term I have never heard in my entire life
the
until
what?
it came through. A derecho, where
Okay.
you get like tornado strength winds, but they blow straight across instead of in a circle. And
Oh,
that I had earlier that fall, I had gotten some quotes to take down this tree because I thought one good storm and this thing's going to go down.
yeah.
And my husband was like, I don't want to spend $3,000 to take the tree down. I was like, okay, whatever. And that thing split in two, ended up on our fence. Thankfully, didn't break the fence completely. The neighbor's fence kind of stopped it, but
Oh,
it was
so who
it
was
was
more right?
months. Oh, that would definitely be me. But it was months before we finally got someone out to like just take the branch, like the widowmaker branch down. Like this thing was so giant. But
I was gonna say, like, he got his tree taken down, but you were right about it going to come down,
yeah. Well, he didn't want to spend the money, and then we had to spend the money. It's like we
Well, that's
we got our
fair.
tax return, and then we immediately had to spend it on taking
Yeah,
this
bye
tree out.
bye. Bye bye tax return.
It's like fate. Like they know, oh, you've gotten $3,000 back on your tax return. What home
Yeah,
improvement
it's the
bill can
game
we
of
come up
life,
with that is going to be 2,099 $999?
right?
Yep.
So true.
I know, right?
What's everybody working on, and where are you
Yes.
guys? Come on over. Come to
Yes,
the
you can hang
dark
out
side
on
with
the
us.
Zoom. The Zoom link is in the video description on YouTube. We don't put it in the comments because that kind of helps keep the weirdos out. So you have to work just a little bit harder, but it keeps the quilters in and the weirdos out. So
Well, you weirdos are the quilty weirdos, and we're welcoming you at any time.
yes, absolutely.
I was about to say, because, I'm kind of both.
I know, right? Like I qualify as both. So, but we mean a very specific type of weirdo in this case that we don't
This is
want
true.
involved.
Yes.
You
The
know,
creeps.
Yes.
We don't want the creeps.
we don't want the creeps. We want the
Yes.
weirdos.
I sent Chantel a meme like an hour ago that said, you accept me, this weirdo I am. Yeah. I think that's pretty accurate of our relationship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Stephanie, I would love to join you on the cruise, but I need to get my quilting machine first before I can
I
start doing
Oh,
totally
that.
I
understand.
understand.
Not
I don't
everybody
get to
can do
go
it.
on this one either.
Because
It is actually pretty reasonable. It's about
It is reasonable.
3,400 per person for the balcony rooms. And I think
Those are
it's
the
somewhere
nice
around,
ones.
those are nice ones. It's about like 26, I think, for the inside staterooms, which you don't really spend too much time in them.
You sleep in them.
Yeah. And organize your
yes.
fabric in them. We
Yeah,
definitely do that.
basically.
So right now I have a cutie breeze frame and have my brother PQ 1500 that I put on it to quilt my quilt.
Yeah.
And it's great, but I want a bigger machine because with the
I
hoop
don't
frame,
blame you. Yeah.
you gotta shift and but it's still faster than shoving and pushing it,
Yeah.
and it's great. But yeah. So once
we get it.
once I
Yeah.
get that, then
You can do another one.
we'll do
Sally's
another
working on
picture
an EPP, Grandma's Flower Garden.
Oh,
That's
fun.
pretty fun. I talked to my aunt today. She got all into EPP after she saw my videos on it. So she's 6 weeks in Hawaii because she's retired and can do that. And she
6
brought
weeks in
all the EPP
Hawaii?
with her. I know, right? This is what happens when you like
We're
retire
doing it
right,
wrong.
apparently. I know. They just go every March. They go there, and then when they come back, the weather's like nice again.
Unfair.
So,
I
know,
mean,
right?
fair. I mean, they probably worked very hard to put themselves in a situation where
They
they could
did.
do that. Fair for
They
them.
worked very, very
However, we're
hard.
very jealous.
Yes, I would love to go EPP with my aunt for just a week in Hawaii. That would be fabulous.
I'd like to go to Hawaii. I'd like to EPP for a week. I'd like, any of those options would be great.
I know, right?
Doing it together, perfect.
Yep.
That would be
I
wonderful.
tried EPP, but I just don't have the patience for that.
I
Because
had to
like
force
it
myself.
as a portable option because I travel a lot around with the children and I need something to keep myself busy
I like that I
while
don't
I'm
have to
there.
cut accurately. I just have to paste accurately.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, I should order. Forgot to order glue sticks because I was
Oh,
thinking about maybe
yeah.
bringing that because next Friday I'm going to be at a coat retreat and I was thinking about bringing my Tula Nova and cutting all of my stripes for it
You probably
while I was
should.
there. That would make some sense. But I mean, I have other things I could do on that. But if I bring my stripes and my solids, then I can actually have everything ready. But I definitely need more glue sticks.
You can bring a cross stitch.
Yeah, I don't
You're
know.
like, yeah.
I'm definitely gonna bring. I think I'll quilt this. I'll just get the top together now, and I'll quilt it one there on the domestic, and then I'm gonna bring my ornament collection. And that might
Yeah,
be
that's a
enough.
good idea.
I'm only there for like technically like 2 full days because it's like 2 half days and 1 full day.
That's always
And
hard. I mean, I like to wake up and be somewhere
yeah,
and have that day, but I like to do that at least twice.
yeah, it
So
just
when I'm
didn't
unorganized
work.
and excited the first day, I have the second day to redeem myself.
I can like sit down and get straight to it.
I know you can. It's not really, doesn't work for me like that.
Yeah.
I
Let's
did get a
see.
little star done. It looks good.
Ooh, that does. Oh, I love your fussy cutting. That is like a whole new pattern that you've created there.
Wow.
Chantel's the queen
that's
of fussy
great.
cutting for EPP.
I got
It's
this.
like a kaleidoscope.
I have many of them.
Becky B's done Down with Bronchitis.
Oh man.
That stinks. She made a lot of hexy flowers though, so that's good.
I love a
And
hexy flower.
Mommy has a needle. Yes, Mommy does have needles, and she tries very hard not to drop them, which is why
Mommy has
needle
a
minders are
needle.
nice.
Brittany's my buddy, and that's like what I told her. I was like, you can EPP upstairs because mommy has a needle works against kids like coming at you. You're like, mommy has a needle, and they're like, oh no.
Before we
And they
went
run
live, I was
away.
yelling at my children because my iron is here right now, and the kids were like coming around the desk this way. I'm like, stop,
Mm-hmm.
go back to your side of the basement.
Go away.
Yeah, I don't want you. I don't want to go to the hospital a second time today, please, and thank you.
Right?
Once is
Once
enough.
a day is the limit.
One time we were at the ER twice in 1 week. One
Yes, I
kid
remember
got hit in the
this.
head with a baseball bat, and then the other one fell down the stairs and got her back pretty good. And I was like, when is DCFS going to call? Because I'm expecting
She
it now.
actually called me and she's like, can you ask John what the qualification is for DCFS? Like
I was very concerned.
getting a hold of you. Because my kids are trying to murder each other, but I don't want them to think that it's an unsafe home or I'm trying to murder them.
I literally was doing flipping yard work, and the older kid had gotten an aluminum bat for her birthday. And I was telling her,
Why'd you give her a bat for her
she had
birthday?
been told many times, know where your sister's at. She wanted to do softball. Not that she's coordinated enough to do softball.
I was gonna
And
say,
she inherited that from
that's a
me.
sweet
She comes by it
idea.
honestly. I was very kind of glad that she didn't make the team because that was not something I wanted to get into in terms of parent responsibility. But anyway, so she was told, but she was not paying attention, and she honked it, and I heard it, but I didn't see it, and then I knew immediately we were in trouble. So we had to go straight in. But she still has a dent in her head from that. She's like a permanent dent from her sister
A
hitting her in the head
permanent.
with the yes.
Oh, didn't
We
you
had
have to
to get
take her back?
I had to go get her x-rayed because there was like a 3 centimeter divot in her head. And they're like,
Oh
"Oh,
my
it's fine."
gosh.
And I'm like, "Okay, well, you're the expert."
If you
My
say
children.
so.
My children are gonna murder each other. I don't know how you did it with 5, Carrie, but my 2 are ready to like draw down at any moment.
I have 2 that want to take each other out, and then they're enamored with the third one. Both of them. They're so in love with their baby sister. We're taking them to an indoor water park, and they had this humongous fit when we're like, well, we can take Penny and have her go to grandma and grandpa's, and then it'll just be the 2 of you, and we could do like the older kids stuff or whatever. And they're like, how dare you suggest that we don't take our baby sister? She's 3 years old. Like, you can't. Everything's better with Penny. She's
That's funny.
never been, and all this, like, you're naughty parents, basically, because I wasn't going to bring the 3-year-old with. And we're like, what kind of twisted world is this? They're on me because we thought that they would be happier, because they would each have, there would be 2 of us and 2 of them. And no,
You want their
they
sister.
they were irate that we would even consider not bringing their favorite thing, their baby sister.
Lily, one of the things we had to have a meeting at school recently because Lily had
This
been
is really
telling
funny.
some stories, including that mommy was pregnant and had a boyfriend to her Catholic school preschool teacher,
Yeah.
which is not accurate, obviously.
And they were like very descriptive stories.
They were very descriptive stories.
Mommy's going to the gym to get rid of her
baby weight, which is
baby
true.
weight. And she
except it
even
was
had
for
a
the
name for the
5-year-old.
baby.
Well, no, she said she had a baby sister too, a 2-year-old baby sister who lived in her room, and she had a name, and she had been talking about it for months. So the teacher wanted to get a handle on what was our home situation because she was pretty sure she just had one older sister, but she had been talking about this for so long. And she wasn't sure. And I was so mortified. So mortified. I'm like, oh my gosh, do you even realize what it sounds like that you told your Catholic school preschool teacher that mommy is pregnant and has a boyfriend? Like, this is like
And
the
you have an
absolute worst
extra
thing.
sibling that nobody knows about that lives in your bedroom. Like,
I know. And I was just like telling my parents, and I was like, this will be funny someday. And they're like, oh, it's funny right now.
and you're like, maybe for you.
Oh. So
Oh
I
my
talked with her
gosh.
teacher today, and I was like, have we had any more stories? She's like, no, she's been a lot better. And I'm like, good.
Did you have to have conversations about the stories?
We did. My older
Let's see.
child, the 10-year-old who is aware of what it means if mommy is pregnant and has a boyfriend, was way more offended than I was about the situation. But it was pretty
I'm
funny.
already in a basement, but I have a nearby severe thunderstorm warning and a dangerous thunderstorm warning in my area now. So
Okay.
I'm going to keep this up, and then I can't really go
you're good.
anywhere, but I might go get another beverage if it starts getting worse. So
No, I texted Chantal. I was like, we took the dogs, the children, and the alcohol downstairs, and I'm ready. I'll see you
I
later.
got my favorite dog. Everything is my favorite is down here. I'm down here, the kids are upstairs, but we'll get them if we need them. It'll
Yeah.
be fine. It can't be worse than getting hit in the head with a baseball bat.
I mean, you think. You'd think.
It could
Hey,
be
I got
worse.
hit in the head with a horseshoe when I was a kid. I survived.
You
Yeah,
did.
see?
So when I was in the ER for that incident, the ER doctor was like, I hit my sister in the head with a baseball bat and dropped a couch on her head. And I was like, and is she living a full and productive life now? And she just started laughing at me.
And how's that going for her?
I know. And does she have
Oh, I
lasting
should get
damage?
a flashlight. You're right. I'm like in the oh, well, this is a flashlight. Good enough.
So this
Good enough
is
to
the-
get away
Ooh,
with
I
this.
like that.
Oh,
That's a
that's
lot of flying
pretty.
geese, though.
I love the fabric.
so
It is. Reminds me of the sea.
yeah, this is the Dutchman's puzzle quilt that I was playing with the borders the first time that I joined you.
Hmm.
And so now I'm trying to figure out how to quilt it.
I love doing ruler work inside of,
I
or
was gonna say echo.
or curves inside of points like that. Curves are kind of fun because it tricks the eye a little bit when you look at it.
Makes
But
you
if
not
you
look
go
at the
with
points so much.
Yeah, if you go with points, then it just accentuates the piecing, which I love to do when my points have turned out and I want to show them off.
Yeah.
I get really
Sometimes
excited
we
about
don't
that.
want to show off our points because they're not there.
I mean,
I have a few.
it's been a while
like-
since I've had that problem, but yes, I do understand that.
Oh,
I still get that problem because I'm in a hurry and I'm testing. I'm still figuring out how I like to press my quilts. And I keep changing it up with every quilt. And I'm finding that I'm losing points when I press to the side.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, well,
always
that's
press
why
open.
I quit.
Yeah,
That's why I quit.
I press open unless I'm being lazy.
And well, and actually,
I just
Stephanie,
touched the
you,
iron.
you
Whoops.
yeah,
I'll live.
ouch. But so I've been trying to figure out how to do this fun quilting thing since I was like 16 years old. And
Mhm.
so that was, we're talking,
It's been a
Like
minute.
5 years ago, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
if you mean,
Us
you know,
too.
like back in the early 90s, then yeah.
That's okay. I still think 20 years ago was like the 80s and
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
and
we like to live in denial that we're not 40. So,
we are.
well, you're not technically.
I'm almost there. I was conceived already.
I'm
was
not 40
conceived
either.
40
I'm
years ago.
50. And so I had, you know, lovely ladies try to teach me and show me and but they're very detailed and everything is pressed to the side and everything is done this way. And it's not that they were, you know, prissy about it. It's just that's the way they do things and that's the way that it works for them, but it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
So I got fed up and I just decided that I was going to press everything open and you know, break all the rules. And then my quilts started coming together and they were
A
coming
lot
out
better, yeah.
nicely. Yeah, and then I found your things that I do that the quilt police hate video,
I love
yeah.
that video.
and this is
They do
There's a
like
awesome
lot
because
of things on that video.
yeah,
Oh.
I said, well, I mean, I had already decided that I was going to continue to do those things because it works for me, but it was encouraging when I started seeing other people do it as well.
It's not as uncommon as it used to be.
So I actually started pressing my seams open when I started quilting my own quilts because I really like to get right into that point when I'm quilting. I don't like to come near it and come out. I feel like that looks messy. And It's very difficult to do that when you press seams to the side, especially if you're dealing with any type of a point. And so
Well,
that's when I started pressing open, and people be like, you can't stitch in the ditch. Well, no, you're not going to. You're going to stitch right next to the stitching line, and that looks good too. And like I know a lot of professional quilters who are known for their quilting who press everything open for that exact reason.
All
and but
EPP
and
is
not only that,
pressed open,
Yeah.
essentially. They've been doing that for eons, you know?
Yeah.
but also, and that was the other thing. I knew from the very beginning that if I was going to make all of the quilts that I want to make, I would have to quilt them myself because otherwise I wouldn't have the budget to do it.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
And the first time, I did a little, I think just a test book to figure out how to, do the free motion on my with my domestic. And just to try it out, I pressed some of those seams to the side and some of them open, and it was just too thick with the ones that were to the side. It's just, yeah, no. So I'm a rule breaker, but it works for me.
I'm gonna open my door so I can hear if there's any sirens. I got a big, severe thunderstorm,
You're getting what I
whatever,
got about an
dangerous
hour
thing.
ago.
Yeah, I'm just gonna open the door so I can hear it. The dog will probably start howling, but
Well, don't let him out.
besides, it's getting hot in here.
Lori's doing a jelly roll rug. I think I've made enough of those in my lifetime.
Oh, I don't even have that pattern, and I've always wanted to do one.
We were like the authority on jelly
I know
roll
you
rugs.
were.
That thing, basically, we were like on the verge of having to call it quits, and the jelly roll rug saved us. We sold so much supplies for that. It was insane. Totally insane.
That's why I'm kind of surprised I don't have one. As your number one fan,
They're a pain. Like keeping it flat, huge pain.
although I
Okay.
have the table where it's inset.
That would help.
Yeah.
Are you showing
I
off
don't
your
know if you're
points?
going
Let's
to
see
be
those
able.
perfect points.
Oh, beautiful.
I love it.
Well, and the reason that I have so many perfect points and the ones that aren't perfect are closer than they usually are is because I cut all of these with AccuQuilt.
Oh yeah. We've gotten on some
I'm an
AccuQuilt tangents
AccuQuilter
here.
too. I love my AccuQuilt stuff. Now, Stephanie here is like a goddess when it comes to
I am
being
the
able to cut
AccuQuilt.
things. I love a
As long
tool
as I'm
and
not
gimmicks.
live on the internet.
Hmm?
As long as I'm not live on the internet.
Yeah, as long as it's not after 10 or whatever too.
Yeah, I can't no cutting after 10 or live on the internet, and then I'm just fine.
Oh, Riley's here too. Still working on her hand quilting. Everybody's
can-
here.
Yay.
I can cut precisely for about 20 at a time, but I'm not consistent if I have to cut hundreds. So
That's fair.
I decided that I would get the AccuQuilt, and right now I'm just getting the dies that I use for the shapes that I use most of the time.
I did a video like years ago when Ange was a baby on how I cut quickly using the mat to measure.
Which
And
is also one of those things the quilt police hates.
I don't care.
And you're like, I don't care about the quilt
It
police.
works for me.
Defund the quilt police.
I can cut a whole quilt in like 45 minutes. That's like
She
twin
really
size
can.
doing this way. And so
as long as you're using that same mat the whole time.
Yeah. I have one time when I was teaching a beginner class, the mat was not true to the measurement. It was like the weirdest thing I'd ever seen. But that was many years ago. And but that's what I do, and it goes pretty quick. Actually, this table runner I think took me longer because I was going individually because I was trying to like film as I was doing it. So it was like a whole situation. But I still even cut it in 45 minutes. So I'm trying to judge because I have 18 hours of class time on the cruise. And I know that I'm probably going to be 3 to 4 times faster than everybody else because I've done a million of these.
You're
So
kind of like the queen of the equilateral triangle and
yeah,
diamond. Like so many of your patterns are
I tried to do one
made from that
every
base.
other or every third month because I like
They're
to do
so pretty
ones
though.
that were like a wham bam, thank you, ma'am, we can get it done in a month quilt.
Hmm.
And then I would want to do every once in a while one that would push your boundaries a little bit, but
Hmm.
be where you can break it down and still have it work. By the way, this is what we're going to learn on the cruise, how to get your point looking like that.
That's beautiful.
I know, right? And press seemed open.
I need
But
to know how to get that to happen.
you have to take time. You might be able to see it. Do you see that pencil mark where the
No.
seam is? It might be better on this one. See the pencil
Okay,
mark?
yeah.
So I do that on both sides, a 1/4 inch from where the edge is, and then I pin straight through where the seam is on both sides, and then I pin from the top, and then I'm
You
able to
gotta,
get it
and then
absolutely perfect. Yep. Mm-hmm. You can't rock
Yeah,
it.
I can pin and match them up, and I can sew them so they match up. It's just
Yeah,
without it's the cutting for those
that
shapes
bothers
like
you.
that
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. I don't know if you can see this, but I drew in with the erasable to kind of what I'm thinking for those.
Oh no, I can't.
I
Oh, I
can't
can
tell
see.
from
Yeah.
here.
There you go. Up a little
Here,
higher.
back it up a little bit.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that is, I've done that formation a lot. I actually will do it with ruler work. I like the 4-in-1 ruler by Natalia Bonner because then
I
you get
don't like
equal,
rulers.
you get, Chantal does not. You can wing it too. I spent a lot of time winging it when I was learning to quilt, but
Well,
I like precision. Like I get really excited when they're all uniform. And so that's why I like that
He
ruler
does.
for
Yeah.
my geese.
yes, but I don't have rulers because I don't have a ruler base.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. I have a similar machine, let's see, right there as the one that you're using.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
if I'm doing it by hand, then I could use rulers, but on
On the cutie frame, yeah.
on the frame, I would have to buy the ruler base for this machine, and since I'm saving for an
Yeah, it's not
actual
worth it.
No,
long arm machine to put on it, I'm going to wait and get the ruler base for that. So yeah.
that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I am gonna go
I love
take
my
a
ruler
peek
base.
outside and look and get another drink from the fridge because I only grabbed one. I will be right
You
back.
didn't have the
Gotta
tall boy
follow
like
me as
me.
I leave. It's like, don't leave. Don't go.
That's funny. Ugh. Marking my seams right now so I can have them all ready to go in. It definitely makes it go slower because I have to mark each join where the seams come together and then I pin them. Like you can see the pin is
Mhm.
going straight through where that seam allowance is. And then I pinch that between my thumb and forefinger, and I take a second pin, and that one goes
Yeah,
across the seam allowance like that. And so once I have that in place, then I can pull this out, and my points are right on top of each other where I want them to be.
right. You did that in your triangle masterclass,
Yep.
right?
Anytime I have triangles that go together, I do that. The difference with the equilateral triangles is that it really is helpful to mark where that 1/4 inch seam is because it's a little harder to eyeball and have it be exactly where it is. I did one, a Christmas table or tree skirt like this, and I just kind of winged it for the first one, and because there were a lot to go together, and then I very much regretted what I had done and
Can you
marked
show
every
us
single one
where,
after that.
what do you measure down from?
Yeah, so it's gonna be hard from here. So I've got not ignore this piece, the little dog ear. You're gonna here's the edge of your fabric, right?
Hmm.
So we're gonna take and we're gonna measure a 1/4 inch from the bottom, and that's where you make your mark.
Okay,
So, and then it
I
goes right
gotcha.
over the seam allowance, and then you know when you match those up that your points are right on top of each other. because you're going for where the pencil line meets the seam allowance. Like right there, I pinned it straight through
Mhm.
where it's meeting that seam allowance, and then I do it on the other one, and then I know those points are right on top of each other.
And then you take a pin, instead of turning that, now you've moved
Yeah.
your seam. So you go back in with a different pin.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I've gotten these.
Don't give away all the good secrets, though.
No,
You
it's all
gotta
good.
get people on the
This is
cruise.
this is online. People can see it. So it's going straight through both of them, and these dog ears don't always line up neatly on top of each other, and if they don't, ignore it. It's not a big deal. And then you pin the second time. So then I've got the one going straight up and down, and the one that went straight through I can pull out at that point and sew it together.
Gotcha.
So
Trying to get
Melina
everybody to join us here. I keep on saying,
started a
"Come join
feathered
us, people."
star. She's finding good background fabric. I hear that. I bought a bunch of background fabric when I closed the shop because I wanted to just have some on hand, which I felt like it was a good decision because today I could just be like, shop my stash and go cut a yard off of my 4-yard chunk. But that was fun.
Sorry, I'm gonna be looking at my phone a little bit just
Oh,
to
you're
make
fine.
sure. You know, I'm doing
currently
two here
putting
at
my blistered fingers on my cold beverage from when I touched the iron. I feel like at this point there's like no fingertip left on them because I've gotten it on the iron so many times.
You know what? I feel that. My son is like, "Isn't that ramen burning your hands?" I'm holding like the Pyrex, and I'm like, "Not if I just use the pointer finger and the thumb."
Been there.
If I use any other finger, it's gonna hurt really bad. But the pointer finger and the thumb, I can do.
Yeah. Oh, I get you.
Don't feel a thing.
You just get used to it.
He was like all the ironing. Oh my gosh, I have stuff on here. My weather stuff. I still have stuff from Belgium, London.
Oh, from when we were there.
Uh-huh. All
That
of
was
that.
fun.
I had stuff from Ushuaia when I was down near Antarctica.
Time to clear that out. Becky B says you need a bowl cozy.
I do need a bowl cozy. I actually just got the dye for the bowl cozies because I was shopping my favorite quilt store went out of business and they were doing a liquidation auction. And I bought a couple dyes from them and I bought a couple embroidery kits, like starter kits or whatever, because somebody might be getting a present.
Ooh.
Because I know somebody
embroider
was
it
like,
myself.
I want to know how to do this.
I do. I have projects that are in process. I should bring something like that.
Oh, there are some little
I'm trying to decide
nearby, but not here yet.
if I want to bring a book with me when I go to my parents this week, because the book I would bring is not appropriate for my mother to look at. I mean, it would be totally fine.
We've been reading a lot of books.
She's a full-grown adult. Obviously, she had me. She knows what's up. But it's one thing
Yeah, well,
to
Stephanie, that
know
tells
that.
me that I would absolutely bring that book to my mother's.
Right? More reason to bring it. No,
I know. I was trying to get her to read one that was like
a little
had a lot
saucy.
going on in it. And I was like, it's got some stuff, Mom. She's like, this sounds like your stuff your grandma used to read. I'm like, I think it's more explicit than the stuff grandma used to read, Mom.
It has gotten more advanced.
But it's slightly awkward because my parents answer the phone as a team now. So if I'm going to tell my mother that, I'm also telling my father about the spicy scenes in a book, which makes it awkward. But
I mean, my mom was the one that introduced me to Regency romance books and Harlequin romance stuff. And she was reading that all the time. And it wasn't until I was probably 25 and I picked up one of her books because I was bored. I was never like a heavy reader like she was. I mean, she'd read a book a day, but I was never a heavy reader like her. And I'm like, this is what you've been reading? What?
Oh, I told Chantal about this story once. I was bored we had a family cabin that like the family went in and purchased like when I was a baby. And my parents bought the land eventually and built their own house on it. But we would all be up there all summer, but my grandparents were retired, so they were there more than everybody else. So my grandma would have all these romance books, and there was one that was about quilting, and I thought, this is cool. I'll
It can't
read
be
it.
that bad.
Like, I was married, so I'm like, it's just a romance, no big deal. And I'm sitting next to my father, and it gets to a scene where they're talking about like
They're talking about something.
they're talking about the sensitive part of, the chesticle region. And it's exposed and the man's out is like, and I'm just like, oh my God,
You're like, I can't.
this is not
Dad's
what
right
I'm
there.
expecting to read next to my dad. And I just went beat red. He had no idea what I
And
was
it's your
reading, but it was
grandmother's
embarrassing.
book.
And I'm like, my grandma's read this, and I mean, they all had to have us, so clearly,
Right.
clearly they know what's going
But
on.
you know, just
Oh goodness.
just not what you thought.
No,
know?
it was not what I was expecting.
No,
From grandma's.
especially a book that's like, oh, it's about a quilt. It should be fine.
It's this actress going to her hometown and seeing her old boyfriend, and who's now a widower,
Fine.
and they're gonna fall in love, and then it's like, oh my God, I can't read this next to my dad.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I also, so really, like, almost the only thing that book had to do about quilting was that they pulled the dead wife's quilt back on the bed before they, had some hanky panky. And I told my husband, I'm like, if I die first and you
Have hanky panky on my
have
quilt.
hanky panky on my quilts, I'm haunting you and whoever it is that you're with.
I'm gonna haunt them too. That's terrible.
Like, go ahead, move on, that's fine, but not on my quilts.
That's a good way to end up with a ghost, probably.
I think so. I would haunt for sure if that happened.
Brittany
No
says she
questions.
walked in on her mom reading 50 Shades of Grey and then immediately walked away. I would too. My mom
It's
loved
funny.
those books.
Oh goodness.
I'm like, Mom.
I found out that my very conservative sister has read some books that I was surprised to hear that she read. And I was like, really? And I was like, oh, okay. I can send you all the memes now.
We've been on a book thing.
We
so
have.
You're going to hear more and more about books because
It's where we're at in life.
That's where we're at.
You know what? I would rather take fiction than real life most days.
Really? Absolutely. Any day, actually.
Oh, goodness.
I'm getting through these. Look, I got another portion of one.
I am almost done with my second wedge. I think I can get 2 of the wedges done today, which will be good.
Let's see. Nearby tornado warning. What does that mean?
That means it's not where you need to worry about it from.
So southeastern Tazewell County. We're in Tazewell, but just underneath us. Take cover now. Go to the basement. Well, here I am.
So I accidentally forgot to eat all day long because I was so busy with running Angela around to doctors and hospital.
Oh my gosh.
And then I was busy trying to get work done when I got home. And so I wolfed down a hamburger when I got back from working out at 8 o'clock at night. And then I was like, I'm pretty sure I have enough calories to have this giant high noon. And this will
200 calories? You got it.
I can do that.
My father-in-law insisted that alcohol and drinks don't have calories in it because how could they? They're not solid.
I mean, that would be wonderful if that was the case, but unfortunately,
he lives by that. Is it working for him? No. But if you like to live by that too, it is an option.
I told my husband that if he quit beer, he probably could have a 6-pack. But
that's kind of a pun, isn't it?
He had me buy a 24-pack, so he'd have to really get working on it.
If you stop the 24-pack, you could probably have a 6-pack.
He asked
But,
for PBR, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not buying you PBR. That's for poor college kids. Yeah,
the trendy ones. No.
I know, right? He's like, well, don't get me Keystone. I'm like, I'm not getting that either.
I
I
couldn't.
didn't drink that when I was in college.
Oh, I did.
I did not.
It was beer flavored beer. That's what that was. Water flavored beer.
I know, right?
John likes this beer right now called Garage Beer. I think he gets it at Costco. And the tagline on it says that it's beer flavored beer. And honestly, completely correct. It's called Garage Beer and it tastes like beer. Like
there you go.
Like every lager you've ever tasted ever. It's beer flavored beer.
I have to show off my points because they're fabulous.
Oh, wow.
Look at that. Every single one.
Yeah.
It's because I took the time to mark
Beautiful.
and pin.
Mm-hmm.
I get excited about that. This is why I like to quilt into the point. Like I can't not because it's
because you make the point.
I know.
If you make the point, you should be able to quilt
there
into it.
Certainly are times when I don't make the point. I'm not perfect.
There's enough of them that you don't notice that, though, I'm sure.
Exactly. For the most part.
I will say once you had everybody pressing open, everybody's quality of product went up tremendously when we were on our cruise.
Oh yeah. It makes a huge difference.
I taught my classes down in the lounge where we all got to have beverages and sit and sew for a couple hours. It was really good.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of EPP.
You can go anywhere.
It works much better when you only sew. You don't double up your pieces and you actually put them on this so that the side faces the way that you want it to. I doubled up.
Sounds like somebody has a seam ripper moment here.
I just did. Well, I had two triangles stuck together and I put them down right side up instead of right sides together. So
Brittany is reading Onyx Storm right now. I'm reading it for the second time. And I read the first one on audiobook and I'm going through it again with the paperback and I'm catching so much more. My degree is actually in English. So like I am like technically qualified to analyze it, but I wanted to go back and reread because I wanted to see how much was set up for the stuff that you didn't even know was going to be set up. And so I reread all three of them.
Oh, Brittany was the one that came up with the books and bolts.
Books and bolts, yes. Mm-hmm. I love that idea. We're
seriously considering all.
We are very seriously considering
ideas.
But like
my dog is doing this.
He wants your attention.
No, he's asleep, but he's running.
Graphic Audio, did you do the one that was by Graphic that had the like the full cast? Because I'm thinking about rereading or like getting that one and listening to it. But Chantal and I were having a conversation about like, would it be weird when it gets to the spicy scenes?
Yeah.
When you're listening to that. Like I don't know. Because it's one thing to hear like a narrator. It's one thing to hear a narrator, and it's another thing to be like you're in the room with them. And I don't know.
We don't need
It'll be interesting.
We're old. We'll have indigestion.
Yes, the first kiss. Okay. Yeah, that first kiss scene is like amazing. And totally like sweet and not spicy. It just makes you very exciting for them.
I bought all of them, Brittany, so
I've convinced her. She's going to do it.
With all that spare time I have.
I know, right?
To be fair, I did get through the entire
You read a book this week.
Well, I mean, I usually read a book every other week, but it's like nonfiction stuff.
Yeah.
And usually it's summer is actually easier for me to read because the kids are in the pool or whatever, and there's just a little more time. And then I travel for band, and so I'm traveling an hour or two, to get to and from band practices and things like that a couple times a week. So I end up going through a lot more material.
Yeah. For audiobooks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I listen. I mean, there were times when I was like in my initial, like, oh my God, I can't get enough of this romanticy stuff. And where I would be up way too late at night with my earbuds in listening. But I like to listen while I sew, when I'm doing mindless work tasks, um, things like that. Although I learned that if you know a spicy scene is coming up, and you can tell because Google will tell you, um, don't listen when you're sitting around at your kids' activities.
No.
Because I had a really hard time keeping a straight face during one of the scenes that came up in the last ACOTAR book.
Get a little too much for me. I don't know. we're gonna see how, teenager I really am, if I can like get through this stuff without giggling and like getting embarrassed and having to turn it off.
Getting embarrassed. I had no problem with like anything in the Empyrean series with Fourth Wing. I had no problem with the first 4 books of ACOTAR, but the 5th book is like you're hooked. You know what to expect, and it is like it
See
next
that
levels
I
in.
don't know. They might lose me because how much literature is behind that at that
A
point?
significant amount. It's a significant amount. It's a really long book. There's like maybe like 5 scenes.
I have a hard time
but
believing
they
that it's for the art at that point.
But they are descriptive.
Descriptive. That's why I have my concerns.
Very descriptive.
I have my concerns.
I texted Chantal because I had that scene. I'd stopped it, and it was one of the scenes that was playing. And then I got in the car this morning with my kid in the car, and the Bluetooth connected to the car, and I was like slamming my hand down to turn the volume off because I immediately was like, oh crap.
It was in the middle of a spicy scene. She turns on her car and it starts playing.
It was the very end of one.
With her kids in the car.
Very end of one. And I was just like, I heard the name, and then I heard it was like Cassian roared, and I was like, oh crap, turn this off immediately. So like nobody heard anything that was inappropriate. But I knew, I was like, oh my God.
Me. She's like, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be the reason my kids need therapy one day. It's gonna be me.
Oh, I know it's gonna be me. It's just a matter of what it is that I did.
Right.
I think
Brittany's probably gonna laugh. She has 4 kids. So she should be here right now. Except poor John would be on babysitting duty.
Yeah, that would be challenging. Very dynamic character development too. Like in the graphic audio version of it, or in the book in general. Because I actually saw online that the graphic audio version,
just the fact that it's called graphic audio and there's spicy scenes, I just don't.
No, it's the name of the production company. It's just the name of the production company. It doesn't have anything to do with that. Basically, I read that they leave out some stuff, just for length, like little details, like the mortar crumbling as she walks across the parapet, like things like that, like a paragraph here or there. So it sounds like it's slightly abridged in order to make it work for the setting, but I don't know. I'm probably gonna get it at some point, and that'll be my 3rd version of going through it. Silver Flame. Yeah, that was the one. That was the one where Sarah J. Maas is like, y'all know what to expect from me now. We're gonna get into the details. And it's like, This is not
I
something you
used
want
to,
to accidentally start playing on Bluetooth when you have your 10-year-old in the car.
yeah, I used to worry about sending my kids to therapy, but then I remembered it, I can't be any worse than what my mother did to me because I never took them to the beach with a cigarette in one hand, an open bottle of beer between my legs as I'm driving down the road, and
Right.
I
a
know.
bunch of kids in the a bunch of kids in the back of the truck.
I'm pretty
It
sure
was
they
the
told my mom that she couldn't stop smoking because I would go through withdrawals or something like that. Like,
I
exactly.
feel like
So
as a parent, you try to do better than your parent did. And but you're inevitably going to mess your kid up in some way, shape, or form that you'll find out about 20 years later.
just try
And
to minimize it.
exactly. Nesta
yeah,
does grow a lot. I do like her storyline. She kind of redeems herself in that book.
My
For sure.
father-in-law said, all you have to do is read to them and love them and take care of them and feed them, and 2 out of 3 times they turn out okay. So
So, which of his children was a
I think
third?
he just kind of meant in general for like me. Like I couldn't mess it up that bad. Like
I know, but he's got 3 kids, so which
I
one
know
didn't
he's
turn
thinking
out?
of his own.
Uh,
It's like you just do the best you can, and like some of them are gonna turn out. That's fine.
oh goodness. I, you know, I don't know what I'm doing wrong with Lily right now. She cries about all the things.
I think
Or-
Lily's just a different animal.
She is.
how
I
old is
telling
she?
Chantal, she's 5. And
Our common
she,
phrase for Lily is she's not a peace lily.
no, she's not. But like yesterday, she was crying for Lady the dog, who has been dead since she was about 1.5 years old.
She's 5.
So there's no
Yeah,
way she actually has memories of Lady the dog, except for us talking about Lady the dog. But she was full on sobbing, crying that she missed Lady. And I was telling Chantel, I'm like, if she has memories of this dog, it is of her slipping and falling in her pee puddle because she was very incontinent at the end. Like that has got to be the only thing she can possibly remember about this dog. But she's just sobbing, crying. And I'm just like,
She's a very dramatic little.
I don't know what to do about this. Like, I don't know. Uh,
I suggest you just let her be because it'll pass.
I
I'm
don't
hoping.
know.
I'm
My
hoping it'll
my my
pass before we go on the cruise with her and she does it in front of everybody. That's what I'm hoping.
I have a feeling I'm gonna have a Lily at my house for a week.
She's coming. She would not be left behind. There's no way. My mom's like, "You want to go to Six Flags this year?" Because they live pretty close to it. And I was like, "No, Lily won't be able to ride the rides, and it will not go over well if she gets left out."
No, she would not deal well with that.
She was crying this week. I want to be sick too. And I'm like, oh my God, no, you don't.
I want
Please
to be
stop.
sick
Go to
too.
school. Go to school. I need to get work done. Becky says when your kids decide they're messed up, you just tell them quilting, IV, therapeutic. I mean, yeah, pretty much. Just go do a
yeah.
craft. That'll fix you.
Go find a hobby. Yeah. Go read books. It helps.
It does. Imagine yourself in somebody else's world.
Well, I think it's just heard thunder. That's good. I was starting to think this storm was not really happening. We have all these alerts and it says it's raining, but I'm not hearing a thing.
We didn't hear anything when the tree dropped in our backyard. Adam was like, hey, you should probably go look at this. And I was like, oh my gosh.
The wind was wild earlier. It was moving around our patio boxes that are full.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
We have a new shed in the back. I don't think anyone's checked to see if it's in place. Hopefully it is.
You'll find out.
I'll find out in the morning.
Yeah.
That's a tomorrow problem, says Stephanie.
I love Tomorrow Problem. They're
I know
fantastic.
you do.
My sister is in Florida and she's just constantly saying, how can you live in northern Maine because it's cold and you have snow. And I said, I'll take the cold and the snow over the hurricanes
Uh,
and the tornadoes anytime.
oh yeah.
Brittany says, I'm always asking my kids, how would you feel if? So maybe she's going through some of that. I don't know. She's just in a phase. If I can
She's also
avoid,
like a force of nature that
if I, yeah, we were talking about she's me, basically.
she is.
So she's
without the
stubborn
strict
and
family
strong-willed.
life.
I mean, it wasn't like strict. It was very religious.
Well, I mean, there
Very,
was still, I'm
very
sure
religious.
you knew if you said something, you could be in
Well,
trouble,
yeah.
kind of thing. And
I
we're more
had
gentle parenting.
I have an Italian father. What he said went.
Yeah, it still does.
Wait, wait, does yeah. I'm 40 years old. It still is the way that it goes. But yeah, it is definitely different the way we do things. And I mean, not that, it's better or worse or whatever. It's just
We don't know yet. We'll find out.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Talk to me in 20 years. But
Yeah, that one turned out cute too.
if I can get her to not break down in public and to eat something other than a chicken nugget at dinner while we're on the cruise, I will have
It's fine.
one at parenting. Like I will feel like I've done a good job and we're good to go.
I agree. Sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on these.
There were like 0 children on our last cruise, so I don't even know if they have children's menus. I'm hoping there are children's menus.
That is a fair question because I really could have went for some macaroni and cheese.
You were like on mac and cheese and chicken nugget withdrawal when we were on.
I was. This is what
it
I
was
feed
like
my
this
kids.
gourmet
live without it.
Gourmet food every single day, and Chantal's like, I really would like a chicken nugget.
I wanted chicken tenders. Okay, it's classier.
We did find a good burger joint though.
We did.
Poolside.
That place was
we
good.
had a couple dinners up there. I can't get over how good like everything was. Like from the midnight sandwiches to just a plain old burger, like everything was like next level in terms of what you expect.
I'm gonna go check outside real quick because it looks like everything's fine. Like it looks like it's gonna be passing us, but then it could always. Who knows?
Who knows? Hey, we kept internet and power. So far.
As long as we have internet and power, we're fine.
We're good.
We're all good.
I need to check and see if I have a phone charger down here is what I need to see. Because mine is dead. My kids keep stealing it for Roblox. Very annoying. Like, I am going to have to stop sewing on this block for filming's sake pretty soon here. But yeah. So what else is everyone working on? I almost have part of mine together. We're getting there.
My friend talked me into doing the Cotton Cuts, the puzzle mystery quilt. So I'm putting that together now.
I have done some work with Cotton Cuts. They are good people. Oh. I'm feeling good about people being able to finish this while we're on the cruise.
Nice.
Because technically, the way this goes together, there's no Y seams. So as long as like half of the table runner is together before you leave, like you're good. You can do the rest when you get home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm especially happy to have used my stash entirely for the project. Even the backing, I think I'm going to be able to pull stash for.
It's
Nice.
technically raining outside. Not even windy.
AB did way too much today, so our sewing room is a bomb. I get that.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm only showing you this corner for a reason. A very, very good reason.
I feel like I need to do something different for a little bit or change my position. Go to a different chair.
Need
What should I do?
a change of scenery for yourself.
I know. I gotta change it up a bit. You can only do so many of the same block before it's like
Too much, yeah.
Yeah.
I get that.
Plus this chair is like a higher stool. It's just not as comfortable. Maybe I'll change this guy here. All right. So I don't make you guys sick. I'm going to take you off video for a second.
It's all good.
Because you know how it's going to be like, I want to watch you.
Oh yeah, you're zoom in, your documentary filmmaker setting.
Yeah, it's going to be like, I want to see you turn. And so I'm going to do it while it doesn't want to stare at me.
I'm yawning. I have not been sleeping, which is not fun. I like wake up at like 4 a.m. and like that's it for me for sleep. Very frustrating.
Sleep? What do you mean?
Yeah,
What is this sleep thing?
yeah. So
Tell me
you're in
all
that
about
phase
it.
of life
I'd
too.
like to live vicariously through it. They need a book that just talks about sleeping so we can experience it.
I think it's because there are too many dogs in the bed. Because we have a 75-pound basset hound, a 55-pound basset hound, and a 25-pound cocker spaniel, plus 2 full-grown adults. And the basset hounds are supposed to sleep, like if they're, laid out like head to butt in the bed, then it's basically like having a third person in the bed because they're like 130 pounds combined. So it's like having another like full-grown human in the middle of the bed. But sometimes they decide to act like toddlers, and instead of sleeping straight down the middle, they like to make H's or end up on top of my feet. And they always end up crowding my side of the bed and not my husband's. So then I'm like in some weird position and I can't like even stretch my foot out. And I'm a small human. I'm 5'2". It's not like I require a lot of space. And it's just like, oh my gosh.
Why do they always why do they always got to do the H position? That's what I don't understand.
Or
like,
take over my side of the bed instead of my husband's.
Yeah, well, that too. I mean, it's all
He's got
critical
all
here.
this space, and all the dogs are like right on me. And I'm like, oh my
Of course.
gosh, go somewhere else.
Go away. I love you. However, leave.
I need space. But I told
Okay.
my husband, I was like, I think we need a room at some point that's big enough for dog beds so that we can actually snuggle at night. And he's like, but I like snuggling with basset hounds. And I was like, save
Yeah.
it for the nap.
I like snuggling with the basset hounds. That's cute though.
Like he will call them in when he's gonna take a nap. He's like, I need a basset.
Oh, well, that's kind of sweet though.
Yeah, it is quite sweet. Willow is the snuggliest. Jelly Roll snores like a freight train.
Yeah.
So it's like basically I need to be the first one in bed, and then Remy has to be by me. That's the Cocker Spaniel, who's like my shadow. And so he has to touch me at all times. Like he's got to be somewhere like by my feet or my side, but he's got to like be in contact with me. And so that can be frustratingly annoying if he picks like the wrong location to be in, and then I have to move him around. But he's at least movable. The other ones, like if I'm not in bed, comfy and asleep before they end up in bed, forget it. I'm not going to be comfortable and I'm not going to sleep.
You get no option.
Yeah. I have to curl around wherever they are. And I'm noticing
I sleep with dogs in the bed too. I get it.
I'm noticing that I'm at a point now, and maybe it'll get better as I like get myself fit again. But like there are certain body positions that I can't lay in or I'm sore the next day. Like this is not cool. When did this start happening?
No, right? It seems really unfair.
It is
Like to wake up and have pain.
pain from sleep.
Yeah. I occasionally take the dogs out in the middle of the night, and by occasionally I mean like every other night. And then I end up falling asleep on the sofa or whatever. The one in the kitchen area that isn't
That
like
is, I
super
slept
soft.
on that sofa. That's not a good sofa to sleep on.
Oh, the hips are not a
No, they're not.
no.
I was on my back on that one, and I was thankful that you couldn't hear me snore all the way upstairs because I could not sleep on my hips. Although I think
Oh,
I have finally lost enough weight that I've stopped snoring. Once I get over a certain threshold, I snore like a freight train.
you
But
and
I think
Willow.
yeah, well, Jelly Roll. I think that's both of our problems, actually. I think we're both too fat and it's snore
Oh, poor
because of
Jelly
it.
Roll.
I know, poor Jelly. But they I think I'm down far enough to where I'm not doing that as much.
Oh. I can't find my other little pin cushions, so I can't find my embroidery needles, which means I can't.
Which
I
means that
wanted to
project is out.
I wanted to finish my little farm that I
Oh
was
yeah, that
making.
was super cute
It's
from
my
last
little
week.
farm for Penny, and I'm
I
working on
know.
embroidery and everything. It's
That
very
is adorable.
concerned that I'm not in the picture. Every time I do this, it's like, where did she go?
That's funny.
I'm still here. I'm down here now. I'm up here. But I got all the little eggs embroidered and stuff, and I have all these little guys I got to do too, but
Yeah,
it's been fun. It's been a fun little project, but you got to have the right needles to be able to do the project. And
you definitely do. You gotta have a thicker thread that'll make it through.
yeah, I have the Aurifil, the Susie Quilts did
Ooh, you got that fancy
an eight
stuff.
weight. Yeah. Well, I got it on a really good deal. It was a really good bargain. So
That's the only way you
worth
buy
it.
stuff.
It is. I'm
Chantal's
a
like, bargain.
Midwesterner, full and full. And it was a good bargain.
Do you have a good hot dish recipe?
Hmm?
Do you have any hot dish recipes?
Yes. Yes, I
See,
have a
there we go.
hash brown casserole, cheese, and I mean Velveeta. I mean, it has all the basics that you need. It has
I
a
ate that.
bag of frozen something
I
in it,
ate
a
that, and
cream of something.
that is probably why my stomach was absolutely destroyed after I ate
You
that.
know what? Never really thought about it. But
Because
yes,
Stephanie and
I
dairy don't
probably did
really
that
mix.
to you.
Stephanie and dairy don't mix.
Oh my God. It was so
Uh,
good.
it was
But
very
yes,
yummy.
I do make some things.
It was
Not
it was
many.
almost it was almost worth the destruction.
Almost.
But it was very good. Oh,
Your doctor
oh.
is going to be like, we can't find anything wrong with your stomach, and you're going to be like, it's my
It's
friend's
Chantel's
hash
hot
brown
dish.
casserole.
Oh goodness. They did find many things wrong with my stomach, actually. So
Yeah.
it was not just your hot dish casserole.
Oh, it's too bad. It would have been an easy out.
It would have been. There are
Oh my
many, many things
goodness.
wrong with me.
Well, yes, we know that.
This is true.
Oh, I gotta find something to do for these little I have these little leaves on here. I don't know very many stitches. I mean, I know my basics for embroidery, but to be able to do little leaves or little things on the leaves. I'm not really sure what I want to do.
This is why
Oh,
I
I'd
still
love
am
to
at a
be able to
point where
do
I need a
this.
kit. Oh yeah, I've seen that. I'm not skilled at that enough yet. It may never be.
Well, don't worry. A kit is on the way.
I feel like my biggest accomplishment of the next week will be to stay out of the quilt shop that is behind the retreat center that I'm going to be at.
Okay,
If
that's
I can
completely fair.
successfully not enter that, I will be good.
That will be impressive.
This probably
I
means I need
mean,
to
there's
do
new
an
Tula.
Amazon. I think resist Tula because I have
It's really
literally
good,
more than 500 fact orders of Tula that I've done nothing with.
but
So
it's really good.
I feel like I need to handle that situation before I do
That's
more.
fair. All right. Maybe I'll
My
do this
aunt
one.
is doing hexies all from Tula, and she's trying not to have any more of two that are the same. And I was like,
Good luck with that.
I can help you out with that mission. You can grab some hexies from my stash. And I'll just make it Swiss cheese. It'll be fine.
They have a million ways you can do leaves in this book. This is
Sure.
Creative Stitching by Sue Spargo. Spargo.
I feel like there's a line in Bridgerton where they're like talking about the different embroidery stitches, and the women are all really excited about it. And Eloise Bridgerton is just
Oh,
like
yes.
not having it. And I'm like, that just reminds me of that, like where they're just so engrossed about the idea of embroidery, and she's just like,
Oh, I would
yeah,
have been in it. Totally here for it. All right, we're gonna try one. We'll see how it goes. I'll probably end up picking it out.
that's okay. You've tried.
I guess I could decorate this little rooster guy. We'll do that first.
So do you have
Oh,
like an idea of what you want it to be in terms of density, or you're just kind of winging it?
I have a lot of little leaves here, right? And so I don't want it to be too complicated, but I would like to have a little something in most of the leaves.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if I just wanted to do a little stem on them, or I don't know, it needs a little texture because my top it's not tatted
What you want.
down in any way. So I don't know. I don't
So
know.
this is half of the first block that's like the starter block.
Oh, it's so
Oh,
pretty.
nice.
And I'm not doing the other half because my phone is dead and I cannot film me putting it together. So we'll have to wait. But like the points, like really, they all turned out great. I'm very happy with them.
They did. That's beautiful.
So good.
So, and that's basically the primer. And then we'll just, the next one we're making the diamonds from triangles. And then the third one is like combining all the stuff and having lots of small pieces. And so
Let's see.
that'll be the finishing touch.
See what we get here. Sorry, I got to be silent for a second while I try to
What you
not
think?
lose my needle. Doing a needle is like a thing on its own. There we go.
I totally understand. I'm starting to feel very gross of the fact that I did not get to have a shower because the tornado siren started going off right when I was ready to hop in after the gym.
I'm exhausted. John was on call last night and I was dozing off and his phone went off. And then apparently he got called in. And then, of course, he was frustrated at me for basically getting to sleep during that time while he was gone. But I was not realizing that he was gone at all, which only made him more angry, right? Because I had no idea that he had left.
He was even gone.
No, I had no idea because I didn't sleep well the second. I didn't
Where
sleep
you're
the
sleep
second half of
deprived.
the night. So he's like, I wasn't even here. And I'm like, well, just because I slept good while you were gone doesn't mean that, you know, my night's sleep was just great, but he didn't really care about my
And
complaints.
but
That's
but
funny.
he also chose that job, so
Yeah, he's like, we live this lifestyle because of this job, you know. I'm like, I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'm really sorry
I do
that it
love you,
sucks for
but
you. But yeah, we're both going through that thing where we're not sleeping great. And so it's
yeah.
just like a constant like who slept better than who?
Sometimes I'll just be like, "Are you awake too?" And he's like, "Yes." Uh,
I don't want to know if he's awake. I'm like, I
I can
just
tell.
don't bug me. I'm trying to sleep.
I can
I can
tell
tell
based
because
on
he's not snoring.
how much moving around there is.
Usually the dogs realize that we're awake. The dog woke me up the other night by putting her wet nose against my hand and flopping it over my body.
That's so wonderful.
I about lost it.
Oh goodness.
I had no idea what was going on. I mean, I probably could have screeched out
Was
in
it better
terror.
or worse than waking up to a child silently standing right here?
Um, I'm both terrifying. I'll give you that. Ooh, the kid usually does. I wouldn't have woke up for the kid if they were silent.
I wake
I
up for
was
all
like,
the
I
things.
was asleep.
I was
It
talking
was
to a friend of mine
terrifying.
once who she did not have kids. She had stepkids. And she did not like these kids were in high school by the time she came into the relationship. So she was like never a mother of young children. And she was talking about how like even she, if someone's up going to the bathroom in the middle of the night, she's the one who's up and awake. And her husband, who's like the biological father of these children, is dead asleep. And
Of
she's the one
course.
saying, "You're all right. You're up in the middle of the night." It's like she never was like the mother of the young children. She just is the one who naturally is waking up to this. And it's like
Oh,
it's just
it's
in
not
our
fair.
biology, something. I don't know.
That's kind of true.
I remember the first night I was away from Angela when I was a new mom. Had to go out of town for a trip. And I woke up. She had been sleeping through the night, but she would wake up every night at around the same time because she had spit out her pacifier and she couldn't get it back in. So I'd have to get up, walk to her room, put the pacifier back in, and then I could go lay back down. And I woke up in a panic because the baby had not cried to spit out the pacifier. And I was like, I'm
She's
not
trained
even
me,
in the same, I'm 3 hours away from the baby. This is why. But I
right?
still woke up. My body was still like, what's wrong? Something's wrong. The baby hasn't cried. And like, oh
They
yeah, you're
train
because
us.
you're not with the baby. That's why.
That's why the
Oh,
baby has it. Sometimes
whoever has the worst complaint gets a sympathy all day. I get that.
it's true. All right, let's see. That's kind of cute. I'm just doing like a
You got to
little
bring it
loopy.
closer.
Yeah, it doesn't want to. Like
Okay, I see. That top one
just
that's
a
kind of filled in.
just a little loop.
Yeah. That's a fun little practice project, I feel like.
It's been really fun to be able to use embroidery stitches in a quilting style way.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And it's been really easy to bring along, and it feels a little less monotonous than doing like EPP, for example. I've been doing a
Yeah.
lot more embroidery.
I go through phases where I'm like, I want to do this thing all the time, or
Oh, yeah, I think that's just part of it. You kind of get onto something and then you got to move on for a little while.
Brittany's saying it's scary when the babies first sleep through the night. For me, because I breastfed both my kids, it was like that first time they sleep through the night and you wake up and you're like, oh my God, like this is
Are
so
they okay?
uncomfortable. Well, no, like your body is
Oh, you're at
uncomfortable.
your body, that part of it. Oh God.
I
Yes.
had oversupply with both babies. I had enough to feed two babies. And so, like that first time they slept through the night, oh my God, it was it was
I
everywhere.
remember going to a concert. Let's see, Hazel was 3 months old. Hazel wanted me to tell everybody hi, by the way. Um, Hazel was 3 months old, and I took my first outing away from her for the night. And I woke up that next morning just soaked.
Dying, yes.
Just
Nobody tells
soaked.
you about this stuff. You like wake up in the morning and it's like everywhere, all over you, all over the bed.
I mean, it was just everywhere,
They throw
and there was
like rocks.
nothing you could do about it.
Oh
And you're
goodness.
like, by the time I get it home, I just hope it's not like stained or, anything else. Like, oh my
Yeah.
God. It was just,
Yeah, it was I literally with Angela, I fed Angela and another baby fully for 6 months.
oh my goodness.
And then I still like I fed her obviously through the first year too, but I had enough to do two babies. And I did not have two babies. I had one.
I
But
adopted my kids, so I didn't have any of that
no.
Oh, you
to
didn't
deal
have to
with.
deal. I,
I mean,
Jane,
I love the experience, but it also is like highly uncomfortable many
No,
times.
yeah, I had them all from when they were babies, but
Yeah.
I had to bottle everything.
Yeah.
I liked the experience for being able to, like, because I stayed home anyways. So being able to, like, feed on demand and all that stuff. But then it was like, hey, somebody else could take care of this. And then the baby's like, I don't want a bottle. That's bull.
Lily
I don't
Lily
want
never
anything to
had
do
a
with that.
bottle because I had her right before COVID, and then she was
Yeah,
with
I
us all the
Penny
time. That
didn't.
kid nursed for 2.5 years and never had a bottle, which is way too long. I don't recommend it to
I
anybody.
don't.
It was a terrible decision. I had her, this country shut down when she was 6 weeks old. And so I went into my pediatrician. I had her in January. And he's like, I want you to breastfeed through next flu season because then whatever antibodies you have will go to the baby. And I was like, challenge accepted because I made it 11 months with Angela. I was like, I can do this. And then she was always with us. She never went to daycare till she was like over 2 years old. And so it just like never, I had to force her to stop. I was like, this is it's too much. You're too old. We're done. It's just
See,
like,
there you can see what these ones are versus what these ones are.
I like that. That's cute.
Just a little,
Looks nice.
little something.
But But yeah, I would have never, had it not been pandemic. I
No.
was kind of holding out until she could like get the vaccine. And then
Oh,
it was like, oh my gosh, I'm so done. So done with that.
my clock hasn't changed on the wall. I'm like, it's only 10. Oh, it's
No,
11.
it is about maybe 20 more minutes. I'll call it night.
Yeah, it's midnight for me.
Oh yeah. If you need to call
You
it,
must,
you
oh
go
yeah,
ahead
you're
and
East Coast. Yes, no
No,
problem. Don't worry about staying up
no,
till the wee hours
no,
with us.
this is great because I'm a chronic insomniac, so
oh, I feel
I
you.
don't even begin to fall asleep until 2 a.m. So, we're good.
So you're doing good.
Oh, you're good. Great.
You're in
We're
your
gonna
element.
like take you out here soon. We're gonna be like,
Some of
we're
my
done.
most popular quilting patterns were designed when I had bad insomnia. I'd like wake up in the middle of the night and the design would just be there. And they were like my top sellers of all time. were these ones that I like climbed out of bed at 3 in the morning to go get
Go jot
down
down.
on the computer. Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
One of them, I had gone to Paducah and was vending at the show, and I took an employee with me to help me because that's just an insane show. I couldn't do it by myself. And she needed a CPAP machine, but she had not figured that out yet. And so, and the hotel screwed up. We were supposed to have 2 beds, but they gave us 1 bed and a cot. And I'm not going to share a bed with an employee. That would be weird. So I took the cot out of, to let her have the bed. So I'm sleeping on this horrible cot, and I like literally was shoving toilet paper in my ears in the middle of the night so that I could attempt to sleep. And I was having high anxiety too at the same time. And the pattern just popped into my head. And I was like, well, that's going to be a good one. And it was literally our like best-selling pattern and kit of all time. So,
That's really funny.
yeah. And then like 2 months later, she's like, yeah, I need a CPAP. I'm like, I think I could tell you that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that does not surprise me at all that you need CPAP. Oh, but
That's funny.
good night, Becky B.
Yeah, good night, everybody who's finally going to bed, but
I
we're
know.
gonna stick it out a little bit
We
longer.
we usually
We are
try to make
not
it to like
coming back
11:30. Yes, we
next
have
week
two
or the
weeks.
week after.
Yep. Because we got kiddos on spring break.
And our spring breaks did not align.
They did not. I was just thinking today, so I ended up with the week before Christmas break, I had kids sick. We all had influenza B or A, whatever one it was. That's the respiratory one. And then so I had them home with me, all that, and then all Christmas break. And this time I had Angela home with me all week before spring break, and Lily was home 2 days. But this is not a trend that I like, I think.
And then you have all next week off. So yeah,
So
you have like a
next week, though,
double.
I have reinforcements because I'm going to my parents on Monday, and they know that their job is to entertain the children so that I can work. And they're on board with this plan. And they have even like agreed to take the kids like Friday through Sunday on their own so that I can go to quote retreat. So I'm just like, awesome. I love you. Thanks so much.
Mhm.
It's different though, because now like the work I do is for other people. So they're very understanding that I have hours that I need to get in. When I
Whereas
was
before it was a
when I
personal
was running the
business.
business, it was like, well, couldn't you have like done that before so you don't have to do it while you're here? And it's like, nope. Sorry, I couldn't get it done. I tried,
Sorry, Mom, but if
but
I could have, I would have.
I know, right?
Right?
It's like I work like 50, 60 hours a week and I just didn't get that far. Sorry. I'm gonna need to send some emails.
My eyes are getting heavy.
Are
I can
they?
do this.
I'm getting tired too, because I've been up since like 4 a.m.
Ugh. Well,
I
clearly I was
really,
so bothered by my husband coming in late in the morning. Not. It was just later
What kind
on.
of emergency like happens in the middle of the night that needs that?
People bleeds,
Oh,
terrible bleeds in their body, traumas, things
yeah,
like that.
that makes
So
sense.
he does, little micro surgeries and things like that. And usually it's to stop some type of bleeding.
yeah.
And people only bleed after 5 p.m., I've decided.
This is
They only
how
Well,
start puking blood or having blood come out of random places only
the,
after 5 p.m.
the kind of bleeding that your husband has to take care of only happens after 5 o'clock.
Yeah, no, seriously, it really does.
Yeah.
I swear it does. Yeah.
I that's kind of how I felt today. Like I took Angela in and I was gonna take her anyway, and then she like passed out in the middle of our bedroom floor, and I was like, well, definitely need to go now. And the doctor's like, well, it's good you came in today because it's gonna be the weekend and we can actually get this taken care of and get you some answers. And I was like, good, because I'd rather do this way than have to sit in an ER all day. And
Oh yeah, or God forbid an urgent care.
yeah,
Yeah. But no, that's the way that works. I was an EMT and all of our really critical
Hmm.
calls always happened
middle of the night.
after 10 p.m. Yep.
Yeah. It's just like we're bringing somebody in right now, and it's like, uh, right now. Sometimes
Brittany's
you'll
up
hear
because
that
her littlest baby is not sleeping. So she's glad for the company.
oh no, I'm toast. I'm like, is
You're
this thread
fading.
gonna, I'm fading fast. I also have the sniffles because I spent a lot of time sitting on the porch today and I have
It
terrible
was
like
very nice.
allergies to dust and everything. It was so nice outside, but all those allergies and stuff. And I haven't been taking my Zyrtec regularly because I don't necessarily need it as bad this time of year. Well,
Yeah, it's winter.
as in like before today, this time of year. And
Hmm.
now, okay, my camera is having a heyday
It's
over
having a
here.
conniption.
It is having a moment. So I'm going to fix that if I can get it. You know what? It might just be me.
It's all good.
Zoom controls. There we go. There. There. You can stop doing the crazy thing now.
There you go.
I ran out of thread 3 leaves short.
Oh no.
I
hate
have
that
more of
happening.
the thread, but to cut a whole nother thread to do that is like kind of annoying. Whatever.
I understand that.
So close.
It's okay. Oh. You know what's been feeling better on my body? Speaking of 40-plus-year-old issues, since I've started lifting weights, my back
Hmm.
is amazing. Like absolutely
You should
amazing.
tell your husband since he was complaining about his back only be able to handle things,
For
like
me, it's like my Chantel's making a dirty joke, but none of you know it's a dirty joke. Um, but now that I've added myself. Anyway, it's my upper back that's the problem area for me because of the scoliosis. And
mm,
it gets like I have a very large 30-degree curvature, like on the side of my back. So like this shoulder blade is very like it's like you can physically see it like sticks out farther. And my
Hmm.
body, like my waist is not, it's like several inches lower on one
it's
side.
just yeah.
It's not, it's my body won't be normal. It just unless I were to get surgery, which I'm not going to because it's not that bad, but it's not good either. And it's like constant pain. Like if I'm working at a desk, I'm sewing, constant pain. But since I've been like lifting and actually like working the muscles around my spine, it feels
Hmm.
so much better. And I don't know, it just feels really nice, which is
I should
rare.
probably
Very
lift
rare for
things
me.
on purpose.
I find, so I thought I wouldn't be able to lift very heavy because I used to lift all the time. But now that I'm a mom and I'm used to lifting all my kids and all their crap, it is
Hmm.
so, like I can lift so much stuff. Like I was lifting a lot, like really heavy, and
It
I
is
never didn't
funny. I
think I
mean,
would
I'm
be able
so
to.
used to carrying a toddler. I feel
I
like
know.
maybe I could
Well, that's
handle
just
You
it.
can
it.
do it.
With with the stuff that we have to lug and move around with our kids, we don't realize just how much
Yeah.
we're actually lifting every day.
Like I'm lifting more than the senior citizens in jeans for sure. And and they're all men. I
All
was
I
I
can
was
think of is like Clint Eastwood movies where he's
it's
like
really
jogging in
entertaining.
jeans, you know?
It's it's really I love going at 7 in the morning. It's
Oh my God.
there's a few people who you can tell are like really into fitness and they're just going before work. And then and I
And
I
then
was
your
just
crowd shows up.
I was describing the like the personalities you see at the gym, because you have like the people who are there obviously like to keep their bodies moving as they go into their older years, and they just want to keep things good, but they don't necessarily know what they're doing when they're in there. And
Yeah.
so, you see them do stuff and you're like, oh, well, that's a choice. And it's like, okay. And or like they'll go in and they'll have like the lowest weight ever and they're just like pumping really fast. It's like, well, you're moving. That's something. That's good.
You're doing
And then
something. So
and then you see people who are like super stick thin, have probably always been stick thin their entire life, and they're just like doing the bare minimum. And it's like, this makes you feel good about yourself. That's cool. And then you'll have people who really know what they're doing. And my husband's like, "What are you?" And I'm like, know what I'm doing, but
I
it's been
really want you to
so
wear
long
jeans
that I really don't know what I it doesn't look like I know what I'm doing. 'Cause
anymore.
I know I do not look the way I did when I used to go to the gym all the time, but it'll take time.
I mean, you're not wearing jeans. Step
I'm
one.
not. I I texted Chantal, and she's like, you know we're messed up, right? I edited that. It was a little worse than that. But for my fourth wing Empyrean series people on here, I got a t-shirt that says Zaddy, Zayden Ryerson, who's like the main love interest of the story, who's like a shadow wielding, like just
He's a book boyfriend.
you want to love him. You want to love him. But um he's a
A book
wing leader
boyfriend.
because it's like a dragon, it's like a war college for dragon riders is where this is spaced at. And he's a wing leader, so he's like at the top of the rank. So you have to know that in order for this to make sense. And it says save a dragon, ride a wing leader on the back, which is wholly inappropriate, but I wore it anyway to the gym because I'm like, this is the only place I can really wear this. I can't wear this school pickup. And so I wore that one day. And then the very next day I wore this shirt with the Disney princesses on it. And Chantal,
Right.
like, she's like, we're messed up, right? And I'm like, I am well aware.
Yeah, we're so messed up.
I
I
am
mean,
so aware.
we have like doll collections and, are reading smut. It's like,
And we have grandma
where do we
hobbies.
fit in the world? I don't know.
We have grandma hobbies and have had them since we were like
I hear Chantel.
20, 30. Well, we're gonna come full circle now where we talked about we don't want the weirdos on here, but really we mean
But we
creeps.
are the weirdos, but we're a
Because we
different
are
kind
the
of weirdo.
weirdos. Oh,
We've accepted ourselves. That's different.
I
We're
also
the weirdos. No, Stephanie and Chantel. We're the weirdos, but we know where it's appropriate to let our weirdness hang out.
Right. No,
this is
you
true.
have to let it shine in the right place.
I
Exactly.
also got a t-shirt that said Quest Squad Broccoli the Fierce, which is this orange kitten, like with this mountainous background. And my husband is looking at me like, what in the hell is that? And I'm like, it has to do with Fourth Wing. Just don't ask questions.
Just don't ask questions.
It's hilarious if you know what you know.
I I wore a t-shirt to Disney while I was pregnant that said if I were a Disney princess, I would be Taco Bell. And it was great because I was like really pregnant. And I had this shirt with this big taco that had like this rose growing out of it, because
Yeah.
it's
Mhm.
Beauty and the Beast. But
Yep.
I felt like my own little sideshow wearing my special t-shirt as a
That's
pregnant
funny.
person, like at Disney. And the kids are like, you can ride the people mover, because like half the rides I couldn't like ride. And you can ride the people mover. It's just like being in Space Mountain. I'm like, yeah, kids, sure it is.
I won't
The
give you any
people mover.
spoilers, Brittany. I promise. But I'm glad that you met Broccoli. Broccoli's rather cute. And Rebecca Yaros did confirm that Broccoli lives.
Broccoli continues.
Broccoli lives.
All right, I did all my little leaves.
Aw.
Cute.
It has a lot of, you can see the back. I mean, it took some
So are
took
you
some
gonna back
zigzagging.
that when it's done?
So
Like with another backing?
this is gonna end up getting folded together like this and then
Okay.
bound. So this is the outside and this is the inside, and it like folds up like a little play thing. So I'm doing all the embroidery stuff, and then I'll essentially bind it and quilt it together
Mm-hmm. So you won't
as
see
a
the
single
stitches
unit.
or the
Yeah.
back anyway.
Yeah, this is the back to this front. Whatever. I knew what I meant. This is the
I know what you
front.
meant.
This is the back, but it ends up folding up all cute and stuff. And then it has its little animals. So then you have like little Penny's farm or whatever.
That's cute.
Yeah, it's really cute.
So my original plan this evening was to bind the quilt that I finished quilting this afternoon, but I decided I didn't want to.
That's your prerogative.
I mean, I always decide against that too.
I'm currently sleeping under a quilt that is glued down binding and not actually sewn down.
You have
So,
every single quilt is just glued down, basically,
not
because
many of them, but not everyone.
I think it's beyond many. It's like
It's probably like
most.
80. I think it's probably like 80 is my guess. If you would
No,
like to come and unfold and refold them, you can figure that out for me, Chantal.
Well,
I'll bind them for you. I like binding. I like
So
doing
they
the stitching.
disappear, and
Look
I
at her
won't ever
face.
get them
She's like,
back.
what?
no. I thought about it, but then I remembered a couple of weeks ago when I was hand stitching the back of that other one because I didn't have enough thread to do it to fill my bobbin and for the top to do it on the machine. And I'm like, I have the right thread this time, but I just didn't want to deal with it tonight. So
I don't blame you. You have to be in a mood for binding.
I
Yeah.
have to be watching a movie for binding.
Well, that's because you sit down and hand sew them all.
Yeah,
I've
can't
mastered
stand
my machine binding, and I only do it though for the quilts that are going to be like heavily washed. Because I feel like the hand binding doesn't feel as secure to me as doing a machine binding when I know it's going to be washed over and over and over and over and over again.
I just don't
Yes,
like the way
and
it looks at all.
At
I
the same
machine
time,
bound a
I
quilt
don't
for my
care because if
husband.
that comes apart, there goes my quilt, you know?
I machine bound a quilt for my husband when we were engaged, and we've been married for 15 years. And he sleeps with that every night still. It's falling apart. And every morning I look up at that binding and it pisses me off that I machine sewed it instead of hand bound it every single morning.
You gotta get it right. I mean, there's like a method to the madness. It just took me a few quilts to get it right. But
I just don't like it. I like it to be invisible. You don't see it.
depends on the quilt. Depends on what it is.
And
Can't
at
handle
this
it.
point in time, the quilts that I'm making are intended to be taken to the beach, intended for the kids to curl up on
love
the
on.
floor. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
And that's my thing too. It's like I think about how I'm going to be using it. Is my kid really going to appreciate that I sat there and like hand bound it? Or am I just going to be really happy if I get like a good decorative stitch in there or something like that? Or I figured it out where I can get really tight along it and I feel comfortable with it.
yeah, exactly.
But I also, know I'm going to launder it every other week for the duration of its eternity. And when I know I'm going to launder it that much, I just feel better about it. But then anything I'm going to like hang or I spend a lot of hand time making it, like anything that I EPP, yeah, I'm going to hand bind that because I just hand made the whole thing. I'm not going to sew it with a machine all of a sudden.
Right. Exactly.
Brittany says she wants to try a flange. I've seen those.
I haven't tried that.
I kind of wonder what it would look like after you wash it. If it would look like the flange on like the pillowcase where you like have to iron it or it looks stupid.
They're really tight. They're very small.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've
Also,
seen tight
binding is my least Yeah, I've seen that. It's just my least favorite step. I just want it done.
You're already done
I
when you got to the binding, in your opinion. You're like, pace it down, we
Well,
got
at that, I did so many quilts so fast. Like most of the stash and quilts were like I had fabric and no idea to the pattern release, the video out, everything is done in like 7 to 8 days. And so by the time it got to that point, we're like on deadline. We needed to get it out so that we could get cash flow going. So I was just ironing that sucker down so we could photograph it and move on. And
yeah. You weren't like, oh, and now we're going to take a week to sew it together.
yeah, no, definitely not.
yes. No, I can do a machine binding that looks nice. I just
Yeah.
shouldn't try. I just shouldn't try to do it at 10:30 at night. That's all.
I understand
Most
that.
things shouldn't be tried at 10:30 at night. That's like a Stephanie policy when it comes to like cutting and for foundation paper piecing. She told me
Yep.
before, yeah, like don't do
Yep.
that
Those items I don't
after
do at night.
10. So
I probably could foundation paper piece now at
I
night.
did listen to part of our book and foundation paper piece the other day. We got done with the live, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. It must have been
You were
2 weeks
wired.
ago. And I thought I was tired. I went to lay down. I was not able to sleep. So I got up and I'm like, I'm going to listen to it was the beginning of the book. So it was still very like drab and boring or whatever. And I was like, I'm just going to try to do a little bit of this. I was up for 2 hours
Yeah.
probably. And once I had to get the rhythm of the foundation paper piecing. I couldn't start
Yeah.
with something difficult. But once I got the rhythm down, it was actually very comfortable and something worth doing with an audiobook. But now I'm tired and I want to go to bed.
I totally
And we
understand.
made it by
We
like
did. We
two
made it
minutes.
to 11:31 and we didn't have
Nice.
weather delays and we're good.
We did it. We
All right.
did it.
Well,
It's
thank you
like
everyone for
legally
joining
blonde.
us.
We
Thank you everyone for
did
It was
it.
joining us.
fun.
We are taking 2 weeks off and then
Hmm.
Chantal and I will be back and we're talking about some things that we might switch up a little bit. And we may or may not have it figured out by then, but we'll
We'll
keep you
see.
in the know.
Yeah.
We're thinking. We have thoughts.
We we always have thoughts though. Who knows?
Whether or not we follow through on them is the key.
Is the
But
key.
I mean, that's pretty
That
much
is
so.
the truth.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to bed,
Alrighty.
folks.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good
Thanks for
night.
joining us.
Bye.
It was fun.
It
Bye,
was so
everyone.
fun. I'm
Bye.
so glad you were here.